So it's really cool that we got this page to show up for our website. If we go to localhost :8000, like this little default page is here. But it's not that cool because this was all generated by Django and it's not really our own here. So by the end of this lecture, I'm going to show you how to create your own first custom page, and hopefully you'll understand a little bit more about how URLs work inside of Django, how routing works. That's the term used in Django to say someone puts in something up here in the browser, how do we get them back the appropriate thing? So let's go ahead and dive into Atom here. And inside of your password generator folder, I want you to open up urls.py. So this is the file that is referenced anytime someone types some sort of URL for your website. And if we go back to our page here, remember localhost means your own computer. It's that special thing, or that 127 number. But eventually, this is going to be your own website. It would be something like passwordgenerator.com or something like that, okay? But just remember, for the time being, anytime you see localhost 8000 or the 127, that's like the name of your website. So what if someone types the name of your website /hello? Well, as of right now, nothing happens. We get this error page saying that doesn't exist. And so the question is, how could we fix that? Well, anything that anybody types up here in the browser, in this URL, will first come to this page here, this urls.py, and it tries to find a match for what the user has entered so that it can send back some information. So you can notice by default, Django has given us this thing called a path, and a path is basically a way to try and find a match for what a user has entered. And they have one for something called admin. Now the admin is a way to work with the database a lot easier than doing SQL statements and stuff like that. We'll talk about this in the second website. But for instance, if you see this, we have this path for the name admin, and if we come back to our page and do our localhost 8000 /admin, look at this. It takes us to this admin web page. So this is a custom page, again, created by Django. It's not our own creation, but you can see that we have a specific name here, and whatever name there is, that like if they type that in, it will give them back this thing. So for example, if I change this to something like hi there, okay, and I go ahead and save this, a really cool thing with Django is if you save a file that you're working on, the terminal will automatically reload and restart your server with the changes. Pretty nice. So we don't have to constantly like quit, restart. But anyways, with those changes, if I try to now go back to admin, I get an error because there's no longer a matching path for admin. And in fact, here inside of the error page, it says, we do have something called hi there. Is that maybe what you're looking for? And if I type out the word hi there, got to spell it correctly, then all of a sudden I'm back to this admin page. So it's really whatever's inside of this URLs file here, this is how we route to different places in the website. So like I said, we're not using the admin, so we can go ahead and delete that. And in fact, we can delete this line up here that imports the admin stuff. But let's go ahead and talk about, how is it that we're going to, make our own custom page here? Well, let's go ahead and just start first with a home page. So I'm just going to make a new path inside of here. I'm going to say path with parentheses, and I'm going to do a comma at the end because it's going to be like a running list of different paths. And I'm just going to do a single string, and an empty string, which says, this is the home page. This means someone has provided nothing after this bit here, like they've just gone like this. Now, you may be wondering, how come this page is showing up even though there's not a path for it? This is like the one exception that Django says if there's not a home page specified in urls.py, they will show this custom getting started page here. So with this, if we wanted to make our own custom page here, we're going to have to say first what the path is, and in this case, it's an empty string, and then a comma, and then say what it is that we want to return back. And in our case, we want to return back a view. And inside of this generator app that we just created, you can see there's this file called views.py, and that's exactly where we're going to be working with that. So let's go back to our urls.py, and first we have to import this views file. So we're going to say from generator import views. Okay, so now we're going to say this path, if someone enters in nothing, meaning they want the home page, let's send them back views dot, and we've got to give them some sort of name, like I'm going to say here home, for instance. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save this. So now if we go ahead and reload this page, well, you see, we don't see the Django default, but we don't get what we're looking for either. And if we go to the terminal here, we get this big nasty error, but it's essentially saying, hey, you tried to tell me that there was going to be some function or view called home, and there's absolutely nothing there. So we've got to fix this. So let's go back to our Atom and now open up views.py. And what we're going to say here is we're going to make a function. We're going to say def, and we're going to call our function home, which is that name that we specified. Inside of this home, we're going to type in request as a parameter. That's basically what the user's looking for. And we'll do our colon for the function, hit enter. And then what we want to do is try and return some text back to the user. So I'm going to say something like return, and I'll say, hello there, friend. Okay, so I'm going to save this, come back, and reload this page. And you'll notice we're closer because now at least we get an error page, but it's still not what we're looking for. And the problem here is that we can't just return back a string. We have to format it as an HTTP response. So, and if you really dove down into this, it would show you more about what's going on here, but don't worry, we're going to go back and we're going to import some code. So we're going to say here from lowercase Django dot, and then we want lowercase HTTP import, and then we want capital HTTP capital response. Okay. So now that we have this imported, this is some code written inside of the Django project. We can say return HTTP response. And inside of this, we're going to pass in a string, which you already have here. So just inside of those parentheses, we're returning back this HTTP response. So we're going to save this. And now if we reload our home page, look at that. That's our text showing up right there. Hello, friend. We did that. Okay. So do you understand like how this is working here? Someone goes to the home page, which means they didn't add anything extra to the URL. So that comes to our urls.py. And it says, oh, look, I have a matching path for that. I should send them to views.home. So then it goes to the views file and it says, oh, look, here's a function called home. What should I return back to them? I should return back hello there, friend, as an HTTP response. And boom, there it is. Okay, this is getting exciting, right? Like, so let's say, for example, I want to have a web page where if I say /eggs, there's some information about how awesome eggs are. Okay, so if I go back to Atom here, what I do is I go to urls.py. I'm going to copy what we have. I'm going to add a new path to this list, and I'm going to say /eggs. Okay, and I'm going to change this to now go to views.eggs. So I'm going to save this file. Then I'm going to go to my views, and I'm going to create a new function. I'm going to say def eggs, and make sure that in Python, tabbing is really important. So make sure this function is to the left and not tabbed over like that. But I'm going to say def eggs, and I'm going to pass in a request, and I'm going to return an HTTP response, and I'm going to return something like eggs are so tasty. Cool. So with this, I'm going to now reload the /eggs page, and look at that. That's our code showing up there. Isn't that awesome? This gets me so excited. Now with this, you can imagine this would be really hard to be returning back all this information. Like for example, if I wanted to have a full web page here, I can technically I could put like an H1 tag in here, and I can close that H1 tag. So I'm going to do like a /H1, and I'll go ahead and save this and come back and reload, and you can see, oh, now it's, big and bold. Because remember, all web pages are just HTML and CSS and all those files that are connected with it. Like if I go to the Django project, let's go to their website. Okay, and I right click and I say view page source. This is literally what's coming back from their server. It's just this big blob of text. So imagine putting all of this into this one single string here for every single view that someone was looking for. That's not going to go well. So we're going to find out in the next lecture how to use templates to make this much better.